Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 14.1, the first Best Junglers of Season 14. We have a new map, we have new objectives, all of the jungle monsters have been shifted, but the biggest thing was a complete overhaul of itemization, no more mythics, new items, old items changed, and basically the world is in a better place. But what does that mean for the meta and which junglers are performing the best? We will go over the best junglers overall as well as the best ones for low and high, and as always, if you want the best Season 14 content to learn how to climb quickly in this new year, you absolutely must head over to Virkayu.gg. I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's making junglers reach their goals, as we saw with the record number of people hitting them at the end of Season 13. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle diff every game you play, click the link below or head to Virkayu.gg. Alright, first up we have the S tier page, and guess what? It's still going to be Graves. A lot of new stuff, a lot of interesting things we're going to talk about, and we will go over the items for each one, so listen up. When I talk about each champion, I will mention the best items. Graves mains, we're trying to figure out the best technology like every other champion main, but Ghostblade is still by far the best going into Collector into Black Cleaver. However, we also have the two new lethality items, Cyclo Sword, giving you those energized attacks that slow enemies by 99%, so if you felt like you needed to be sticky to someone, you have that, and of course Dash is enabled that to charge faster. Graves has his E. At the same time, Opportunity allows you that absolute focus, fully stacked lethality when out of combat, which enables a lot of burst damage. Effectively, Graves' itemization remains the same. He can abuse certain fighter components, although they're not that great. I would honestly stick to the Season 13 default or try one of these new mythics, but overall, with the grubs being easy to take, with counter jungling being powerful, with the ganking being less reliable due to people's misconceptions, see the jungle video for that I released on Tuesday, Graves is still the total dominator of the map. Everything that has changed, he loves. The matchups, he loves. Squishy mages, he loves those too. New items, you've got everything at your fingertips if you play Graves. In theory, Nocturne was going to have a harder time, but apparently his ban rate is suggesting otherwise, and that's because we've got the new Hexplate itemization. This provides ultimate ability haste. It gives similar stats to Stridebreaker in terms of AD attack speed and health, less health, but when you use your ultimate, you now get huge amount of attack speed and decayed movement speed. This means once you go in, you can stick to them. You don't need that active from Stridebreaker to necessarily enforce it. From this, the new Eclipse is looking absolutely broken on certain champions, and he is one of them. Build the Hexplate into the lethality itemization, and then you can either go for a Black Cleaver if you want to live a bit longer and have stickiness, or Axiom to snowball and end the game. There are some more fighter conservative builds using Sterex and Titanics, but why? Because at this particular stage, people are squishy, people do a lot of damage, so be one of those things that also abuses new itemization. Nocturne, strong fighter, great map controller, level 6 spike enthusiast, grub controller, and basically, like Graves, does it all from Season 13. Their power has carried over. Virkayu, on the other hand, is an interesting one because I've put him quite high. A lot of the data suggests, he's definitely S tier, but is he this high on the S tier? I say yes, and most people say no because they're building him wrong. Hey, guess what? New Kraken, Trinity Force, these are still the ultimate combo. What changes is your third item in this particular build path. Yes, you can still go Death's Dance. Yes, you can still go Black Cleaver. Remember, you can't stack Armor Pen itemization, but you can now also go back to building Blade of the Ruin King, or you can go for Sundered Sky. So the core principle of your Kraken Trinity Force Black Cleaver is maintained from Season 13. The damage is absolutely unholy, but you have the option to exemplify your DPS and your damage with Blade of the Ruin King, as well as your stickiness, or your survivability with Death's Dance, or both with Sundered Sky, and that would be my recommendation at this stage, because that thing basically has an execute that also heals you. Okay, it's not really an execute, but sometimes it's felt like that because it's based on missing HP. But overall, the stats on that, the raw stats, are super good with HP and damage, and it provides you healing, so you get that Divine Sundra feel, but with Kraken, but with Trinity Force. Think about it. You just built 3 pseudo-mythics in a row. That's why he is so strong with these new builds. And obviously, he fights and skirmishes perfectly, and everybody wants to die for grubs, so let him die. You take the kills, get the resets, and knock those turrets down. Fourth, we have Bel'Veth, and she, like Virkayu, continues on with the Kraken into what was a mythic, except in this case it's Stridebreaker. Still great on her, gives her the HP. What changes for her is also third itemization. But rather than going necessarily just Blade of the Ruin King, which you can do, or Black Cleaver, which of course you can also do, or Wit's End, or Death's Dance, what I like as a bit of hidden technology for superpower is the Terminus on-hit build. Now, Blade of the Ruin King is showing some good stuff, I like that, but Terminus gives you that penetration and the armor and magic resist that she so loves. So basically what I have recommended to the Belveth players is play around a little bit with your third itemization. And yes, if you're snowballing, you could slap on the blade or the terminus second after you do your Kraken. But start Kraken, decide afterwards if you really need to go beyond Strikebreaker, but I don't think you do. And then finish off with one of the items I mentioned. Again, she doesn't necessarily need all this tenacity stuff because she has mobility, CC, she stands still with her E. Like Viego, Nocturne, and Graves, has map control, has the grubs under her control, is aggressive, is assertive, is a dominating PvP champion, gank's not an issue, farming's not an issue, and invading's not an issue, and of course, itemization is good. Next we have Rengar, who, unlike a lot of other AD assassins who are struggling a bit more, ironically Graves is enjoying the items better, but not only is Rengar enjoying the Cyclo Sword with that 99% slow in the auto attack, because again, stickiness without brushes is huge, and even with brushes is huge, he also loves the new Profane Hydra. Tiamat active is back, as we all know from Rengar mains. Back in the day, we always would have Ravenous in Season 4 and beyond. Press that button with your Q, farm it up, triple Q with a Tiamat, it was absolutely nuts. Now we can bring that back, but in a lethality-based item. But much like any burst assassin or something like a Graves, Opportunity is a huge item as well. You stack up your lethality, you go in, and they're dead. That lasts for 3 seconds, by the way, once you leave your out-of-combat state. So you get 3 seconds to unload your lethality passive, provided by the item. But let's face it, if you're fed, who's lasting 3 seconds? Now, while you get all the "that's what she said" jokes out of the way, you can always build these items second or third as well. And you know what that means? You can combine everything I just said. Cyclo Sword, Opportunity, Profane Hydra into a Grudge. You're looking at an all-new itemization trio of domination. This is to say we haven't really spoken about the one that is the Magi's lethality item. That's called Hubris, and basically, you know, you kill someone, you get a statue, and then you do more damage the more statues you have. I mean, it's nice for your ego. And the win rate is solid, it's a great snowball component, but in default, we're looking more at the 3 items I just said. Weird, right? I just said 3 items and no one has any idea what the hell they mean. Like, at least with mages, we have old items coming back. With assassins, it's like, you know what, why don't we just give you 3 or 4 new items for no reason? Yeah, enjoy. Well, Rengar really is. And so is Briar, except Ghostblade is by far the best. The fighter itemization is still not that great overall. They've nerfed her and gutted her to the point she is just effectively an assassin. So you Ghostblade and collect her into Lord Doms, hey, guess what? That's still good to go. Sundered Sky is the one fighter item that's looking pretty juicy in the first rotation, as well as the Cyclo Sword that I just mentioned for Rengar as well as Graves. Overall, she seems to be definitely one of the lethality users that is just better off sticking with exactly what you were building in Season 13. Graves is as well, but he is having good success with the new items. Briar, on the other hand, they've just made her so that she is what she is at this point. They need to rearrange the numbers and rebuff the fighter aspect, or she's just going to keep going down this path of obnoxious fly at your face and kill you, or if she misses, you know, you kill her. Now, you thought with Rocket Belt, or I thought at least, that it was going to gut a lot of these champions. Turns out, you know, it's not that great to rush on Evelynn or the Echoes, but Storm Surge, yes it is. Not only does it give an unholy amount of burst damage, penetration, movement speed, it also gives you cash money gold. And when you're running first strike and things like that, you're inflating your build spikes to a much sooner point in the game than anybody else. And when you're Evelynn or an assassin, especially an AP variety, guess what? You get to really use that. They buffed the Lichbane too, so you can go that second, but trust me when I say the classic Deathcap second is still looking very powerful overall. So from an Evelynn itemization point of view, all we're changing is we're going Storm Surge first, otherwise everything else tends to remain the same. And finally, we have Master Yi, because when you buff the first auto attack to be the one that slows, he likes that. When you reshuffle the Rage Blade and you add a Terminus, all of a sudden you're looking at a very strong on-hit variety of build path. Not only that, but Wit's End also has Tenacity, which he also loves as well. And they're also enjoying playing Hexblade actually as well, because it gives you that ultimate haste, which makes you really difficult to deal with, and it gives you that burst of attack speed and movement speed, which, I mean, when you're playing on hit with a Blade of the Rune King as well as, you know, a Rage Blade or a Wit's End or a Kraken Slayer, what are you gonna do? So overall, Kraken Slayer is still the better rush because of the Noon Quiver in terms of raw numbers, but Blade of the Rune King is absolutely astronomically played way more, and just the way to go at this point. Kraken Slayer can be slotted in, but I'm not seeing a lot of people force it. They really do like the Hexblade, the Blade of the Rune King, the Rage Blade, the Wit's End, and basically you should be ending games at that particular stage. On-hit Yi is just back, powerful, strong, and we didn't even mention Terminus, which is something you can experiment with as well. I'm just not seeing a lot of people actually go with that early, more like item 4 and things like this to cap it off. But hey, there's more than enough choice for you. The champion is super strong on the map, super strong with these itemizations. Go forth, Master Yi, stick insect mains. Next up, we move on over to the A tier page, and Brand is going to be here. Hey, Leandries is buffed. So basically all of us who built Leandry's Rylai's can go back to building Leandry's Rylai's. However, Brand also enjoys a Malignance item because why wouldn't you? Ultimate ability haste as well as an ultimate damage burn. Something that, well, it doubles down in his thematic, I guess. We have the needlessly large rod into Zonya's. We've got your Void Staffs, your Death Caps, your needlessly large rods into Banshee's Veil. Effectively, Brand is one of the mages that is really enjoying the new itemization, and of course he clears fast, he does the grubs quickly. You can't be counter-jungled, and like others, was strong in Season 13 at the end and is strong now. Echo is much the same way as Evelyn. You might think, okay, look, no Rocket Belt, except in a different case, he still enjoys Rocket Belt because of the active being so good, and even though its, stats aren't that great, the fact of the matter is it synergizes with Echo too well. However, Storm Surge First is also absolutely cracked. Likewise, Nash's Tooth First is absolutely cracked. So effectively, all that's happened with Echo is all the itemization remains the same, except you've got the added ability of having Storm Surge alongside Rocket Belt as a choice, or, with Rocket Belt as a choice. And don't forget the Lich Bane. Hugely strong item on him. Kindred in the thematic looking amazing and in the game looking amazing. Stop overthinking it, my friends. Just go cracking into Trinity Force, into your Black Cleaver, except you don't have to go Black Cleaver because I recommend you go Terminus. The absolutely best way to go is Kraken, Triforce, Terminus. And because it's a fighting meta over those grubs, because it's a ganking bot lane meta, because of the new map, because Kindred loves all these things, Kindred is very, very strong. Now, the only thing I will say is if you want to go more unhit, more squishy glass cannon, you can go Terminus second into a Wit's End or something like that. I am preferring what I said before as a default, but basically, Kindred, Terminus, Kraken, Trinity Force, Wit's End, Black Cleaver, it's a delicious meal of beautiful itemization where you can choose whatever you want and you can do whatever you want. Next up, obviously, we have Lilia, because guess what? They buffed Leandry's. They gave us Haunting Guys back. With Brand, it's strong. With Lilia, it's strong. With Morgana, Zyra, it's strong. We love Haunting Guys. We lose the mana, we lose the haste, but we gain the HP. Lilia likes HP, she likes magic damage over time, she has it in her kit, and now she's even more unkillable. Contrary to popular belief, Malignance is not as great on her. Please don't really build it, don't rush it. Do your Leandry's, and then guess what? Go into Riftmaker. Yes, they both build out of Haunting Guys, but the passives are all unique. So as long as you don't stack 2 Haunting Guys, you're good to go. Then you can go into your Zonya's, which has a needlessly large rod, she loves AP, or your Rylai's for even more HP. This deer has never been stronger with her AP Bruiser thematic. Xin Shao's an interesting one because the new Titanic Hydra with the active on Tiamat is proving to be an astronomically strong rush on him. He really abuses it well. Now his early potency and fighting over grubs is also exacerbated by the fact that he can go into a Shojin, and you're looking at a guy that has wave clear for jungle clearing, he has damage for fisting, he has the ability of low haste on everything because of, Shojin, and then he can go Sundered Sky to heal and kill you very quickly. Obviously you can swap the order around a little bit, but rush the Titanic, get your grubbies, attack the lanes, very easy with this kit, hit the turrets because you got 5 to 6 grubbies and those little mites are really going to do damage. Honestly, this is my hidden OP recommendation for you guys. Play this one. Kayn, on the other hand, is having not as great a time in terms of win rate, not a great time in terms of figuring out, hey, what do I do on this champion? But he's still solid, he's still good, he always will be. And the reason for that is you can go Profane Hydra on Kayn, on blue form specifically, on red form as well, because now you have Tiamat to farm even faster. And again, Kayn is about the fusion of ganking, getting form, and farming. And as long as you understand that Ross can like this item as well as the Eclipse with his regular Black Cleaver and fighter builds, Blue Kayn has the same kind of choices that everyone else does in this class. He's the one champion where it's basically like, I don't know which items to recommend because they're great with the Ghost Blade into Aximark and Cyrilda's Grudge, you can still do that. You can have Sundered Sky, Black Cleaver, Shojin on your red form, and you can always build Opportunity as well. So this is a build we will revisit again in maybe a dedicated guide once everything's stabilized, but overall, I'm still loving Kayn. Just don't go too crazy with your builds and you'll be absolutely fine. Vi, on the other hand, much like your Xin Shao's of the game, is enjoying the Sundered Sky, Shojin combination, although she doesn't really go for the Titanic Hydra, more so she will go for the Hexplate, the ultimate ability haste, locking down hypermobile, cringe, annoying champions like Zeri or whatever the hell else you're going to be seeing is great. Enemy champions are squishy, you're strong, you're unkillable, you have damage, you have low haste on your abilities because of Shojin. Honestly, with Vi, do this, or go for the Trinity Force, or go for, your lethality, your Eclipse, your Collector, your Essence Reaver. That is something I'm seeing people build as well, but I don't really want to recommend that forward because it's squishy and you can die, and you might as well just go with your regular builds of a Sundered Sky and a Shojin and a Black Cleaver or a Styrax. Tenacity, damage, survivability, healing, what more could you want to fist? Now, while Ivan is still great because they, buffed all of the enchanter items, Moonstone is a de facto, you still want to rush that. Shurelius does have a place overall, but the buffed Ardent Sensor is looking mighty fine. Redemption is of course also cracked. Ultimately what you're looking at is, hey, there's a lot of damage killing my win condition. Let me go the items that stop those things killing my win condition. People are squishy and can die from a lot of damage. You provide a shield and some weed. Now we go to the low elo page, and in this particular case, we don't need to talk too much about items. That's all covered. But we have Nocturne, Briar, Yi, Diana, Rammus, Lilia, Kayn, and Amumu. Tanks are tanks again. Amumu can also do that, but you can also go Liandry's on him. Hey, Briar and Master Yi are still strong. Rammus is here to save the day. Thornmail's still good on him, and we have extra armor itemization and magic resist itemization as well. Choose the one that suits your particular champion and composition correctly. Tank itemization has always been that way. Outside of like a core thing you'll do, maybe a Barmy, Sunfire, and a Thornmail, you really can build whatever the hell suits you for that game. Diana, meanwhile, is very much like the Echo. Storm Surge plus Rockabelt, maybe a Nash's Tooth, and a Zhonya's, and you're basically unkillable. I do recommend overall, though, at this stage, people look more at the Nash's Storm Surge Zhonya's. The damage is huge, the DPS is huge, and when you have grubs plus tower pushing and a needlessly large rod into a Seeker Zomguard into a Zhonya's, it's absolutely insanely potent. And finally, for the high elo page, nothing really much to add as we've seen all these champions here, but I will say Rengar's win rate in high elo, extremely high. The one I didn't put in the general population is Lee Sin. The reason for that is people have no idea what to build now that Gold Drink is gone, and people are not respecting the fact that Gold Drinker was a stupid item that was broken. Sundered Sky is proving to be the popular alternative, but Eclipse is also just as good. Profane Hydra is not really the way you want to go, but just, lean into what he's good at here. The champion is strong, it's still the same kind of jungle, nothing's changed for roots and experience and gold. You clear a little faster, you've got grubs you want to fight over, buy the items that suit what he wants to accomplish in the actual meta. Sundered Sky, Black Cleaver, and of course a Sterak's. Tenacity, movability, damage, health, healing, percentage damage, and if you really want and you're snowballing, go the Shojin. Keep it simple, stupid, and you're going to be absolutely fine. Bel'Veth, Shinshao, Kindred, Evelyn, and of course Brand. Really, really potent in high elo. You're seeing the Nocturne fall off quite drastically. You're seeing things like the Viego fall off as well. Because these items and the way the game is played, a meta is still developing. We're still understanding how things are going to flow out. What is going to be the focus? Who's going to, be the oil that rises to the top of the solution? At the moment in high elo, the data and my experience, and obviously my scouting already, I've done a lot of this over 2 days, this is what I'm seeing perform the best. Use these builds, use these champions, do not die for grubs, play around them, do not die for them, adhere to good pathing fundamentals, and I promise you, you will definitely be climbing quickly with Virkayu.gg and this video, or this one on your screen if you need a recap of what actually changed.